Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. For this video, we present about the heat transfer. My name is Muhammad Faris Daniel bin Muhammad Zamri, number matric CD 210135, and my group members are Khalid Iskandar bin Nur Azim, Wan Lokman Hakim bin Wan Roslan, and Muhammad Syaril Ikwan bin Mamat. Okay, some intro about the heat transfer. The question is, what is the heat transfer? The heat transfer is the process of transferring thermal energy from one area with higher temperature to another area with lower temperature. And heat transfer can occur through three main methods, that is conduction, convection, and radiation. Okay, about the three methods that have been mentioned, that is conduction, convection, and radiation. What are the meaning of those three? And for question 2, that is, what is conduction? Conduction is the transfer of heat from molecule to molecule through direct contact. This is the common method of heat transfer and is often seen in everyday items such as pots, pans, and kettles. What about convection? Convection is the transfer of heat through the movement of fluid. This type of heat transfer is common in boiler, radiator, and car engine. Lastly, what is radiation? Radiation is the transfer of thermal energy through electromagnetic wave. This type of heat transfer is the most efficient and is seen in things like the sun, microwave, and infrared heater. Okay, for our video purpose, or we call objective, our aim for this video is to display how the conduction, convection, and radiation application that happen in our daily life. By doing these three experiments that are related to the conduction, convection, and radiation for a better understanding of this concept.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Khalid Iskandar bin Razim. My number metric is CD210136 and I'll talk about conductive heat transfer. Heat conduction is the movement of one heat from one object to another object. So when we have two objects with different temperatures and they come into contact, we can observe the heat conduction. Okay, so for the procedure, first we'll have to scoop a little bit of butter using the handle tip of each material. So basically it looks like this. Just have to scoop a little bit and then carefully place the material inside the cup and then repeat the same process with the other utensils. Okay, so next we'll just have to pour hot water inside the cup and make sure that it is almost fully submerged. And next we'll just have to wait, and then we'll just have to observe which butter from which material will start to melt first. And now, after a total of 10 minutes, the butter on the metal handle tip can be seen has been completely melted off. Meanwhile, the other two, which is the plastic one and the wooden one, hasn't started melting just yet. Okay, so as you can see from the experiment, the butter starts to melt first on the metal handle tip. So from the experiment, we can conclude that metal is a better heat conductor compared to the wooden and plastic one. So the reason as to why metal is a better heat conductor is because metal has higher value of thermal conductivity compared to the other two.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Wan Hakim B1 Ruslan, CD 20047, and now I would like to talk about heat convection. So, generally, heat convection is the transfer of heat from one place to another by the movement of fluids such as gas and liquid caused by the difference in temperature. In this process, hot fluid rises and cool fluid sinks, creating a circular motion that spread heat throughout the fluid and transport it from one area to another. This is common way for heat to be transferred in many natural systems such as ocean and atmospheric system, as well as in a various technology system such as heating, cooling system and power plants. Now, I will tell in detail about the experiment of convective heat transfer. The thing that we need are a clear container, a dripper, food colorings, hot water, cool water, and a few of cup. Set up the apparatus like this. To begin with the experiment, first we need to pour the room temperature water into the container in about half, which is represent part of atmosphere of air. Next, by using a dripper, put 2 drops of different food coloring into different parts. On the right side, which is red, going to represent warm air, and on the left side with blue food coloring will represent cool air. Pour the hot water into a cup and place it underneath the red food coloring that will represent uneven heating of air surface. After all of that has been done, you will see what happens here. As shown in the video, look at the response of food coloring after a few minutes. If we look at the bottom of the food coloring, we can see the food coloring start to rise, which means our water is warm enough, and so that's creating an area of low pressure as the hot air rises. And as it rises, we can already see that the blue food coloring, which represents the cold air, is moving in to replace the warm air that is rising. So it's moving into the area of low pressure, and that is a good representation of convection, which creates a movement or wind.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Syari Ikwan bin Muhammad, CD210113. Today I would like to present about radiation heat transfer. What is radiation? Radiation is the energy emitted by matter in the form of electromagnetic wave as a result of change in the electronic configuration of the atom and or molecules. Unlike conduction and convection, the heat transfer by radiation does not require the presence of an intervening medium. In fact, heat transfer by radiation is fastest. It occurs at speed of light and it suffers no attenuation in a vacuum. This is how the energy of the sun reaches the earth. In heat transfer study, we are interested in thermal radiation, which is the form of radiation emitted by bodies because of their temperature. It differs from the other form of electromagnetic radiation such as X-ray, gamma ray, microwave, radio wave, and television wave that are not related to the temperature. All bodies at a temperature above absolute zero emit thermal radiation. The apparatus used for this experiment is candle and LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, which is butane or propane. So this LPG can make fire. How radiation heat transfer happen in this experiment? So for this experiment, when the time is 1 minute, we can see that the candle slowly melting because the heat from the fire is transferred into the candle. That made physical form for the candle change along the time. In the second minute and third minute, we can see the candle is more melting because of the heat from the fire. This picture is the physical form for the candle at the initial experiment, and this is the physical form for the candle at the end of the experiment. As a conclusion, we can conclude that heat transfer by radiation can be proved by conducting the experiment at your home.
Next, after we're doing 3 experiments, that is 1 for conduction, second for convection, and third for radiation. We can conclude from these 3 experiments that we conduct that the 3 processes of the conduction, convection, and radiation are hence the main means of heat transport, and all 3 procedure entail an exchange of energy between the 2 objects are either direct or indirectly through the air, and each process, however, has distinct property and use that make it essential in a range of scientific domain. And in the end, knowledge of these 3 types of heat transfer is crucial to a wide range of discipline.